Does anything bug you as much as a know-it-all? A know-it-all is completely different from an expert. But how can you tell which is which? Hi, I'm W.Daniels from Chick Publications. An expert studies his craft carefully, for years practicing to get better, and after many years is able to state his conclusions or opinions or theories. And we tend to trust experts because we know that they've spent years working at all of that. But a know-it-all is none of that. A know-it-all is often a dropout from a college or course or program. He's much too smart for them. A know-it-all has theories without research, conclusions without study, answers without preparation. And a know-it-all expects to be believed because, actually, I don't know why they want to be believed. They just do. And maybe that's why they changed their minds so much. They didn't really have a solid basis for what they believed, so it was no big thing if they changed it. That is so much like Bible versions. King James Bible believers are vilified because they say, "Thus saith the Lord." And at first glance, maybe their critics are right. They pick up a Bible, the King James Bible, and they say, "Thus saith the Lord," and believe every word of it. They ignore the modern critics and their web pages and their books and their articles in Christianity Today. They don't listen to the experts who have been teaching against the King James Bible for decades. They just believe the book. It's their book. And they will accept no other. They do certainly sound like know-it-alls, don't they? But wait, maybe there's another way to look at this. The King James Bible came from a text preserved and passed down over thousands of years, often at the cost of their owners' lives. The King James Bible was prepared with the help and consent of Bible believers who were scholars. Over 400 years tested, over 400 years proved, over 400 years believed, and as a result, we have over 400 years of success stories, including the largest missionary movement for God in history by people of faith. Modern versions are changing the meanings of historically understood words. Disbelieve to disobey. Are saved to are being saved. Only begotten to only or unique. Jesus as son to Jesus as merely God's servant. Modern versions are based mainly on two corrupt manuscripts that removed and changed hundreds of words and phrases and verses. And yet all the versions and their scholars disagree about which words, phrases, and verses should be removed or changed. That's why there's always a new one. I think the real know-it-alls are the ones with the nerve to change God's preserved, inspired, holy, tested, approved words by people of faith. That's why with faith, the King James Bible believer can preach and say, "Thus saith the Lord," with all the fire that the Holy Ghost puts inside him. Because you know what? It's just not so easy to get all fired up about. The opinion of the majority of the scholars at the moment is. God bless you and have a wonderful day.